Your company is saying, oh, well, it's okay for you to be at home, you should do this to be safe, and your clients might expect you to be there at all meetings in person. And if you're not comfortable with that at any time, do remember that this is your own health, safety, life that you're talking about. Hi, welcome to today's video, and today's topic is another question which is has come up quite a bit recently, and that is, I'm worried about returning back to the workplace. What can I do? It's quite a broad question, worries. So what are your thoughts, Chris?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons why you might not want to go back to work. You know, you may hate commuting, but some of the kind of big things that we could talk about would be COVID. You know, what's your company doing in that regard? Your colleagues, and actually returning to work with people in close proximity, but also, you know, maybe you're working better from home and you don't want to go back into a physical environment. I don't know, what do you think about COVID?
So in terms of practical advice for COVID itself, I'm worried about going back to the office because I'm just worried about COVID, right? And about virus and health and safety practices. My first thing to say is you've got to speak to HR, speak to your manager, your boss, and find out what the company policies are on how they are planning to handle the return to the workplace. What have they got set up? How are they looking after employee welfare and safety and health?
Totally. I agree. I mean, I think if you've read the government guidelines as well and interpreted those, then you would know whether your company is setting out the right strategy for getting people back safely.
I absolutely agree. And also talk to your manager and HR about, if you're working in an industry where you have clients that you have to service, also how your company is speaking to those clients to make them aware. Because depending on the country, your industry, who you're dealing with, clients have different expectations than what your company is saying. Your company is saying, oh, well, it's okay for you to be at home, you should do this to be safe, don't worry about coming in, and your clients might expect you to be there at all meetings in person. And if you're not comfortable with that at any time, do remember that this is your own health, safety, life that you're talking about, and your own kind of mental welfare as well. So do speak to HR, do talk to your company about that first.
Totally. I don't think colleagues, right? This is a big thing. So we've been interacting for the last 3 months using phone calls, by using VC, and now we're going back into an environment where those kind of interpersonal relationships, ridiculous stuff like overconfident people that are shy, people that don't communicate naturally or effectively when they're in person. And suddenly all of this stuff comes back into play. So one of your fears might be getting back amongst other people, you know, actually in their environment, talking to them face to face, and maybe you were more effective when you were working from home. I don't know, what do you think about advice for people worried about being back in the presence of others?
I've heard this quite a bit. There are some people who are saying they work better from home. Now, why they work better from home was because previously with their colleagues, they were unaware because that's how it had been. But in meetings, they didn't speak up so much because their colleagues were overpowering, as Chris said. They didn't speak up because they were worried about looking embarrassed. But now with everyone having worked from home for a few months on Zoom, just by emails only, some people are really beginning to shine, whereas they normally wouldn't in an office environment. And they're worried about going back because they don't want it to return back to how it was that way. So if you're one of those people that felt, hey, I don't want to go back and see my colleagues because they weren't nice or I weren't comfortable with them, now is the time to list down, like make a clear list. What were your concerns about working with your colleagues? At which points did you feel anxious? You didn't want to speak up? Then try to talk to your manager about it, or even try to find ways to address it, not even directly with your colleagues, but in the meeting, I didn't speak up so much. So consciously, should I make an effort to speak up? Or should I be clearer in my emails? Like, what are the points that can get you as close as feeling comfortable again as if you were working from home? Like, don't limit yourself. Don't stop shining just because you're back in the office. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, ultimately, it should be the responsibility of the managers and leaders of a business to realise that some people are working better with distance and bring them back into an environment where they can continue to be as effective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the key thing is to identify what it is you're finding to be a challenge and then work out how to make that transition back into the office.
Absolutely. So, you can call that clarity again, or just kind of clarity about working with colleagues and how you work in the office. But definitely you do need that list, you do need clarity. And once you have those two things, you can start working on the steps to remedy that. Now, as always, Chris and I are going to put any useful or practical links in the comments. But in return, this video is for you, and it's for you guys to tell us what you want to hear about. Please send us any questions, any comments, any other points that you want to follow up or share on. And I guess that will be it for today's video.